Good morning, buenos dias, bonsoir. Welcome to Life Lessons Straight Up with a Twist. I am your host, Charity Youngblood, and I am so excited and grateful that you are here with me today. So as a reminder, this podcast is unedited because life is unedited. So if I mess up, as always, I'm human. It reminds you I'm human, just like you. So we're going to get started with a question just like we always do. And whatever activity you engage in for self-reflection and introspection, please feel free to do. So whether that's writing in a journal, recording yourself speaking, saying the questions out loud, and then saying your responses out loud, do whatever works best for you. So today's first question is, who do I have to keep me on track? Who do I have to keep me on track? So I just recently started this book called Who Not How. And that was discovered from one of the podcasts I was listening to. I think it was the One Thing podcast. And everything in this book is resonating with me in such a way. I don't know about you, but there are certain concepts and ideas that I have that I haven't been able to articulate in a way. And then I'll find this resource or someone will say exactly what it is that I was thinking, and they articulate it in such a way. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's it. You know, I've been saying this for years. I want to get paid for how I think. I want to get paid for the way that I'm able to utilize my gifts, right? The natural gifts that I have that I'm able to use and help people, which really at the end of the day comes down to listening intently with the goal of understanding, asking the right questions, and providing alternative perspectives. I've always been able to do that. Unfortunately, it wasn't until recently that I even realized, and I didn't realize it. It was kind of a chain of events that occurred over years and years and years of analyzation. It's like, oh, wait a minute. These are skills to people. You know, these are things that I absolutely could share with the world, and in turn receive an income from that, receive a monetary gift in exchange for the gifts that I contribute and give. And so this book is basically, I'm going to give a very brief overview, but it's basically talking about this concept that many of us just either don't understand or haven't really been in a place where we really need to apply it. And it's really talking about the who versus the how. So, for example, in my life right now, as I'm getting more comfortable with the services that I want to provide and really structuring a service-based business around lifestyle design, I had to decide, okay, who do I need to help me with this vision? So for me, I've never had a problem asking for help when it comes to honestly, most of the work that I'm passionate about. I'm like, who can help me with this? But it even goes further than that to really get in that mindset. And one of the pieces of the book that really struck me was this area about procrastination, procrastination being wisdom. And really, if you're procrastinating on something, it's not that you don't want to do it just because you don't want to do it. It's because that's not where your natural gifts lie. So it's almost like your intuition is telling you that should be done by somebody else. You stay, like we say, I'm sure you've heard this, you drive in your lane. You can switch lanes, obviously on a freeway. We don't stay in the same lane, you switch it, but you drive in one lane at a time, right? So highly, highly recommend that book. But that's where this kind of concept kind of came to me, because now I'm hyper aware of the who's in my life and where I need people to really help me and how I can find the people to help me. And, it's a reciprocal type of partnership and collaboration. So last week, I think it was last week or maybe it was the week before, back to our question, is my mom reached out to me and she was like, hey, what's going on with the podcast? I haven't, I already heard those episodes that you have. What's going on? And, long story short, excuses aside, I was slipping. And so this question of who do I have to keep me on track, it really resonated with me because it really doesn't matter how much passion you have at the beginning of whatever the project is. Staying through it and being consistent, to me, in my personal opinion, and seeing from others what they have, said about this particular topic, that's really where the struggle is, right? Because you can start, you can figure it out, you can start. But once you have to continue, that's when it's like, okay, now I need somebody to actually keep me on track. So I'd really like you to explore this, really challenge you to explore this question and where this sits for you. If you're listening to this podcast, you have goals, you have ambitions. You're not somebody who's just cool with, being average. If you are, I have no idea why you're listening to this. But, do you? But if you are listening to this, you have goals. You have somewhere you want to be, either in your mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, socially. There's a lifestyle that you want to create for yourself in a certain area. So really look at where you're struggling or where you find yourself procrastinating or where your energy kind of seems to be sucked away, and really go with that. One thing that I've learned over the past, I'd say year, maybe even a year and a half, but in recent years, is learning to trust myself is the most powerful thing because that's when you can be absolutely as honest as you need to be and understand that those feelings that are coming through are there for a reason. We're compelled and kind of called, if you will, to certain things. We just are. So don't ignore that, right? Don't ignore that. When you feel compelled to do something or called to do something, really, really dig into that. And think about who you have in your life, either one, who you have in your life to keep you on track, or who you need to find, right, to keep you on track. So that was a question, and we might have gone over a few other questions because y'all know I'm just kind of speaking from my heart. But those are the questions I had on my heart. So hopefully this is helpful for you. Please let me know how it's going. Rate, review, wherever you're listening to this podcast. And thank you so much again for listening. And until next time, take care.